back to Mind Trick Media. Today, we are in a little bit different of a setup. You know, stuff happens. So, today we're doing the final part of the Skeleton Crew episodes. So, um,
Why were those parents walking when they were supposedly running
what do you mean?
in the woods? They looked slow as hell.
Well, they don't have to
My
look
girlfriend,
like.
my girlfriend was literally sitting right next to me while I was watching it, and she's like, "Why are they running so slow?"
Well, I mean, it's not like they're all like office workers, and like they're like
You
athletes or
know,
anything.
I wanted to say that the kids are better actors than the parents, but I thought about it, and I was like, they're just so brainwashed from how they've lived their 30, 40-ish years of life
Mm-hmm.
that they're almost robotic.
Well, hold on. I thought that, but this episode we get a little bit like more about like what I know I don't remember. This has to be in the second episode, but I guess it could have been in a little bit back into the first one. But he like Wim's dad kind of mentions to him like, "Oh, you would find out after like you graduated," and like I thought that was super weird too. That like they basically know that they're like lying to their kids. Like they know
Yeah,
more than what like they knew that the supervisor like what the supervisor was.
yeah, I mean, I agree, but at the same time, they're definitely still, in my opinion, at least a little brainwashed still. They're very robotic with how they do shit.
Oh yeah, well I agree. Like they my biggest thing with them is that they act like there's not a problem in the world because there's never been a problem. But that's not how that works.
Right.
But yeah, so I mean that's the other thing too, like you mentioned the parents, it was one of the first things that like I took notes about was like at least they're trying to do something.
Yeah, I know. Like, I say, like, they're super brainwashed with what's going on and stuff like that, which I do still believe that they are, but they are, like, going against that. And it's kind of interesting to see because like I said, even just the running, they've never had to run in their life. I
Yeah.
mean, they probably don't even know how to run, to be honest.
Yeah, it's
I
like
do
unless
think
good.
I do think from like a critically probably like a critically acclaimed acting perspective, it doesn't look very good. But at the same time, if you dive deep into what the story means, I actually think these adults have done pretty good
Yeah,
because in my mind, like they are supposed to act weird and robotic and not like the kids, obviously, because they're kids. Like the
yeah.
kids are rebellious in real life, and like it's really showing in
But
this show. Like,
it also shows like the loss of the like sense of wonder. Like they don't
yeah,
wonder about anything. Like it's just like this is the way it is and this is how it's gonna be.
right.
Like Wim hates it because he wants to imagine the best things possible and like we'll get to something that the dad says later that I just paused and started laughing at, but I think that's in the second. Yeah, it's way into the second episode. So yeah,
Right.
so we start off the first episode with that scene, and then we immediately go back to them being kids again. And what the fuck were they chasing around? There's like some weird gravity ball that they were just chasing through the ship.
They were playing a game.
I know, but I was just like,
It was
they,
almost
their parents were being so dead serious. Like, we need to get these kids back. Like, we'll do
you know.
anything. We're
Well,
getting hit.
the kids are finally happy. They're finally going to be going home.
Yeah,
But also at the same time, it was almost like a Star Wars version of like almost handball, in my opinion. Like that's what it kind of looked like.
it. I don't even like it. Almost just like that game you play when you're a kid, where there's like a balloon and it's like, don't let the balloon touch the ground.
Yeah, I mean they're
Like I
spiking
don't.
it though, which is really weird.
Yeah, like yeah, I don't, or like a little element of like something like Foursquare or something. Like it was weird what was going, or like racquetball
Listen,
almost.
listen. I don't know what it was. Racquetball is a great example. Um, I want one though.
Well,
I would just spike it around the room and be hilarious.
I'm just thinking if they had that, it would be like in a thing, and it's like the never-ending bouncy ball. Like,
You'd imagine if we had that as kids.
sounds like a
Our
Willy
parents would
Wonka
hate us.
toy.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
But yeah,
no,
it's just the lack of like knowledge of what's really going on. I feel like they understand. It's like 1 second they understand, and then 1 second they're like, "Oh, we're kids again."
I think it's just like the youthful age of your mind wandering. Like kids cry about something for 4 seconds, and then they find something else, and they're the happiest they can be, and then like 4 minutes later, you take a toy and they're mad. Even though like it, you could definitely like they're actually doing it like and like I don't know if this is because of how they shot the movie or if they're really good at acting, but like they're doing a good job of like caring so much and being afraid and then not caring about anything.
Great. I think it's been consistent throughout the show as well because you have when they get to that one like spa planet or what I don't even remember what it was called, but they're on the bed pillow fighting each other,
Yeah.
and Jod's like, "Listen here, motherfuckers.
Well,
There's there's
paraphrasing here.
pirates coming here to kill us."
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, they've been pretty consistent with it. And I mean, yeah, I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it just brings the aspect out that they're just kids.
Speaking of pirates, we jump to the scene where Jod Silva, whatever we're calling him, he calls himself Jod a lot, but also he's like Captain Silva, but he's Jod. um,
Yeah, I don't know.
he basically is like, let's send someone in. What's the worst that could happen? And he knew it was gonna happen. I knew, like, I think we all knew it was gonna happen. This guy
Yeah,
just gets ripped to shreds, and then I really did like, if I didn't like have an idea of what like obviously like they're not gonna kill Jod there, but like for a second I'm like they're gonna launch this dude.
I thought they
But
were too. Yeah, I was fully convinced. I honestly wasn't putting two and two together that the ship was going to be the key. I guess when it arrived, like it was like, oh, there you go. That's how you're going to get back because it didn't destroy it on the way out.
yeah, and it was weird too because I felt like there was symbolism we were missing that they were like
Yeah,
with a ship just comes out of this other ship and like early on he's like yeah like the ship without its armor and it's like what the ship was supposed to look like.
right.
um yeah, but like dude Silva just doesn't fucking die. Like they just like they keep and then like that one woman saves him at the beginning like no we can't like he's right there's like this field and like blah 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 and like yeah and then they see the kids jump out of hyperspace so they tractor beam them and like I didn't really know what was gonna happen and then like all of a sudden like you see the claw that they have that comes and just grabs Brutus and KB's using her voice changer and stuff and I didn't know what was going to happen, but what
Yeah,
happened is not what I thought was going to happen.
I don't really know what I thought was going to happen either. That's been something I think has happened the entire show. It's kept me on my toes the
like
whole time.
and like
I feel like
I know
you can
where
keep
we're
yeah, you're good.
going. This happens, this has to happen, to go here, to go here. They have to get back to this planet, but like how? Like
Right.
they're good at like building it and maybe I'm just slow, but like I don't know, like I and then like this happens, we see this claw grab Brutus and like I thought he was gonna make the kids like let him go, and then he turns and he puts a fucking bullet in his head, and I was sitting there like, what the fuck just happened? Like I
Yeah,
was like,
I was too.
that happened, and I was like, holy shit, because a part of me immediately was like I thought the next camera shot was gonna be Brutus, and like they didn't do that, and like they're marketing at kids, I get it, but like he full ass just turned and blasted his ass. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh my god, dude.
Yeah, I had rolled out of bed and turned this on like immediately. And that was like right at the beginning of the episode. And like I low key was like, what the hell? did I just watch? Because it just 2 seconds. Already, this episode just started,
Yeah,
and
it was
yeah, I
so
was completely surprised. I wasn't expecting it.
it was so pirate like too. Like the whole crew didn't give a fuck.
Yeah,
All right,
like
now he's our captain. He knows what he's doing.
yeah. I mean, you hear treasure. That's how it goes with pirates, dude.
Yeah,
You just
and
keep
then
going.
so like we were talking, the parents got this transmitter device out, and it's recorded messages, and they get these messages, and they're like listening to them, and I was like, oh, like they're being so sweet. We gotta talk. Neil's dad is a monster, dude. He is fucking huge. They showed a picture. I'm like, that's his dad.
Like that's what he's gonna grow into.
Oh my god, they did such a good job. And like, I'm starting to low key think that him and Rebo are different species, because that's not what Rebo looks like. I think it's a
Yeah,
species inspired by Max Rebo, and I think I might have heard that they said that somewhere, but yeah, I don't think that's the same species.
I mean, it could be an evolution thing as well, where it's like he has
It's
lived
not
on this
that
planet.
far.
Well, no, but they've lived on this planet for generations. They said that later in the episode that Adam has been this planet for generations. It's been safe. So if their species were living on that planet and they were safe, there was nothing going on, there was perfect living conditions, the evolution of the species wouldn't change.
See, that's the thing though, is I think it's generational to an extent, because there's no old people on this planet. I think once you like retire, they make you leave.
They just kill you.
Because like no one has grandparents. Like I don't know if you noticed that or not, but
Well, I mean, that's a detail that's like, are you really going to put this in that show?
yeah, this is our job. We
I
are to nitpick.
Well, yeah, but you also got to have that rebuttal as well. It's like, are we really going to waste some time to be like, here's some grandparents of these kids?
I mean, maybe just one grandparent would have been cool, but
I don't know. I do see what you're saying. They do look a little different. It could be an evolution thing because of Max Rebo being not on this planet and all this other things going on. But also, yeah, I mean, it could just be a completely different species. So,
yeah, and then obviously we see Wim. He tries to run after whatever he was trying to do, and like
when he yells attack, is
yeah, and then
that what you're talking
he
about?
goes to say claimsies, and then because of the pirate rule of not having two ships at once, so then Jod does
Listen,
claimsies.
right. By the way, every time Jod, Silvo, whatever, grabs these kids, I'm just like, he's gonna snap their neck.
I'm honestly was waiting on it, like one of them.
Yeah, I thought, I don't know. They definitely towards the end they geared it towards kids. I'm sure you can imagine how this is gonna end, like to some extent, like. But at the same time, like every time, I'm so like conflicted with what I think he's going to do because like he's held up a lightsaber to people, he's held up a gun to these kids. Like he grabs Wim by the neck. I'm sitting here like he's gonna snap this kid's neck right on this right on this ship, right in front of the other kids. I don't know. I'm just super conflicted with his character.
Yeah, yeah, and then like like what I was saying, like he goes to call, and then like Jod claims it, and then fucking Fern goes unclaimsies, and I was like, what the fuck? She's like unclaimsies, and then was like 33. This ship is only for kids, and Silva was like, that's not how that works, and then SM fucking rocks him, dude. I was like,
Yeah,
oh shit.
I love SM33. I love his character. I love the way he talks. I love how he's such a pirate droid. It is insane. Um, yeah, I love his character. He has better character development than a lot of characters we've seen as of recent with
Yeah.
Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, I sent you a post earlier, and it was like, how are these kids better actors than the last Star Wars thing that came out? Not even
Yeah.
gonna, like, yeah. how are these actors better than those actors? And it's like, yeah, I mean, writing has something to do with it, but
Writing does have something to do with it.
but yeah, and then we mentioned earlier, like he explains that the ship is an old mint ship, and that's like the reason they can get in and out.
Hmm.
And I had a question in the middle of this that confused me, um, and it never got answered. Either
Okay.
of the questions I have. Why was the ship crashed at the beginning? That confused
Well,
me.
I think that kind of gets it doesn't get answered specifically, but I think based on this is the supervisor. I already forget. It's a weird name. The supervisor, right?
I don't know what you're gonna say.
Well, the supervisor was like talking about how like basically the supervisor was confused why Jod was there because it didn't make sense for him to be there.
I mean, yeah,
I mean,
that's the whole second. That's the
obviously,
second episode though.
right, but I mean, I guess that answer kind of gets answered, I guess. What's your second question?
Well, this one's one that I actually talked with the guy at my job. I was kind of wondering where the one captain is. Let me pull up his name. Tack Renard. Renard.
Yeah, I'm kind of upset they didn't bring that back
So
into it as
what?
much.
So we talked about this. What I think happened was, I think he was killed on the ship. You know how early on they're in like that one cabin's chamber and there's like a bunch of dead bodies. I think the
Hmm.
captain was killed.
The captain, I feel like the captain was the guy that was stabbed into the
Yep,
wall.
that's exactly what we were talking about and thinking
I
too.
mean, it looked if anybody on that ship was a captain, he looked the most like a pirate captain.
Yeah, and then I think probably what happened is, um, they either stabbed each other or and then SM killed him or whatever it was, but or SM just fucking killed him. Like I don't really know. Um, there's that. I still have the question. I've asked it for 7 episodes now. When it was crashed, it was like flipped over. What was SM doing holding down that lever? There's a lot of like there are a few things that are like that I like. It's not like crazy important, but like I thought it was gonna be like, oh, this is the theory on this, and like it just never happened. So
Yeah, I feel like the show definitely wasn't trying to answer questions like that. I think they were I don't know. I don't think it was as important to the story,
oh,
if that
I
makes
I
sense.
completely agree. Like I think it's pointless because like
I I think it's cool stuff to be like, all right, here's answers for this and that for like people like us that want to nitpick things and understand everything to its fullest extent. But at the same time, this show was not geared for that whatsoever. And I think we all understood that very early on that this was actually a kid forward story. Like, you know, we've talked about the Clone Wars. This season one started out for kids, and yeah, it clearly did not end up being that way later on. But I actually think this show 100% was for kids, or like, you know, like us, we've talked about how it's kind of nostalgic because it reminds us of XYZ different movies and shows and stuff from the past. And I don't know. This is something that we weren't going to get answers for something like that.
yeah,
And it didn't take away from the story at all. But
no, I think
I do think it would have been cool to see like the pirate, you know how we had the hologram video of him. I think it would have been cool to like actually see what he looked like instead of just the blurred image that we got.
but at the same time, like I like that's one thing that I think adds to the mystery because I don't think anybody actually knew
Hmm.
what he looked like, and that's part of his story is it's the legend of we don't know who he is
Right,
because he was that good,
right.
and so like obviously like the recording being messed up is like it was probably like good at one point, and that's just like how they chose to be like oh like it's messed up so you can't see him like
Yeah.
um
I mean, it is cool. Yeah, you'd be like, this guy just built this chamber of treasure, and like, there's all these booby traps getting to it, and we'll never know who it is. It's this random pirate that everybody knows the name of, but has never been in contact, met. He's just this legend. pirate.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. But yeah, again, this show wasn't going to answer questions like that, so
Yeah. So
I
then
feel like we all knew that. Sorry, you're
no,
good.
you're
Keep
good.
going.
So then
No, you can keep going. Sorry.
we jump and they're going to land. Like they're in they went through the atmosphere. I don't know what to call it. The gate thing. Yeah. And turn around and Silva's on the ship. Don't know how that one exactly happened, but
I have no idea. I
I'm pretty
was
sure he
like,
just probably jumped in at a perfect time when it was closing, like when they cut that camera. But like, um, yeah, and then dude fucking immediately gets rid of SM. I was like, you motherfucker.
oh, I wanted to point out actually with how he uses the lightsaber. Clearly, well, he just talks about it a little bit later. He uses the lightsaber as if he's using a sword like a pirate. You know what I mean? You watch like pirate movies and this and that, and they like do different things different ways. He uses it like an actual pirate using a real sword. And I thought it was really cool,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah, you can like, I, that's a great way to explain it. Like I was gonna, early on, I thought seemed a little clunky, but it's because
Hmm.
you just don't get the effect of like the come here, and like because
Yeah, it's like
you can hit someone with the tip of a sword and be okay. You can't do that with a lightsaber.
right. And I mean with a real sword as well, you have like one side that's actually like 100% sharp. There's a theory on if lightsabers are actually that way as well. Obviously, we don't know.
What?
There has been theories in from I don't know. You've never heard that? So there's been theories that a lightsaber is also the same way as a sword. Obviously, it does more damage than a real sword because it still has the other side of the lightsaber. But you know how like the dark saber is like a sword?
Yeah.
They attack from the one sharp side. Well, the theory is that an actual lightsaber blade is the same way, and you have like Ray, like Luke in the first movie, and then you have like Ray in the sequels. They're not as proficient with a lightsaber that they kind of swing it around and it kind of bounces off of stuff. You know how like Luke hits Darth Vader's like shoulder and it kind of like bounces off of it and it doesn't really like cut him. And then also like a good example is in the Kenobi series where he goes to save Leia when she's like tied up to the chair. He slashes the one way and it cuts down the stormtrooper, but when he goes straight backwards, it bounces off the stormtrooper. So people have came up with the theory that a lightsaber actually has like a blade on one side of it. Obviously, it does some kind of damage because there's heat and stuff involved with the lightsaber on the other side, but it's not as efficient on the other side as it is on the sharp side. It's a theory that fans have came up with, but there is
I'm
little
like
things here and there that kind of show that.
I'm just like 1,000,000% sure that that is complete bullshit. But like,
I
like
know,
I think it's
I know,
because that they use that they have like when they're using a real sword. You know what I mean? Like the actor
no,
has
I,
a like I don't. I think it's because of that. Like I don't like. It's, the
I
one with
100%
Luke is
agree.
explainable because like he has body armor. Like Vader has armor that can
Yeah,
deflect lightsabers. That one's not a good theory. What was the Ray one again?
I mean, there's probably scenes where it's the same way. I would have to pull up the video to
And
show
like
you, but
789 are weird anyways because they changed the laws of how lightsabers work. So like I'm
well,
not
that's
gonna
also
count that
back.
either.
Well, that's also where the Kenobi series scene
I don't
comes into
know
play
that
as
what
well.
you're talking about because
Uh,
obviously like the
it's
troopers
when,
have armor. So like
yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but
no
at the
one ever
same
gets
time, like,
like the troopers never get clean cut because like the armor has to be penetrated a certain way for it to like there's a lot of times where like you can even see when Obi-Wan and Yoda fight in episode 3 like they fight the troopers like the only one that really like they never cut any of them in half, you know what I mean, like
yeah,
they cut off limbs or they like do that thing where they like jab into their side and then they kind of like cut across them
yeah.
like what you would with a real sword, but it
Hmm.
kills them because of what it is.
I'm not saying that that's my thought process on it either, but there has been people that have thought that and brought it in to be a theory because of like you have these different scenes that kind of show that to an extent. I don't know if they're intentionally doing that and that is the case, but I wouldn't say the proof, but the theory has stuff to be like, okay, this and that, but also you have the rebuttal where it's like, all right, this and that. They have armor examples here and there. I see what you're saying, and I agree. I'm not
I
saying that. I'm just telling you what I've heard.
I also think I think they're trying to imitate real sword fighting.
Right.
Like
Which I
like
mean,
if you teach
who
someone
knows?
how to sword fight like how they used to teach the actors who use lightsabers, um, you're gonna do things that are like similar to real sword. Like a real sword isn't gonna like cut someone in half. Like you know what I mean?
Well, the theory behind it is you have people from the prequel era where where the Jedi are supposed to be at their height, they're at their best, so they're more proficient with the lightsaber, with the blade. But then when you have like Luke, where didn't have the training that all these Jedi had in the prequels, and then you have Rey, she definitely didn't have any of the training that they had, and then like the Obi-Wan example, he literally swings it this way, cuts down the stormtrooper, and then immediately just goes straight backwards, and that would be like the dull side of the blade, and it kind of just hits off of him. I can show you the
Is
scene
there
later.
any examples that you can think of where someone using a lightsaber cuts upward, like they're holding it like this and cuts upwards into something?
Yeah, but again, like that would probably be a Clone Wars slash prequel time period, and they would be more proficient with using the lightsaber. So that goes into the theory where it's like, all right, these guys are more proficient, and these guys aren't. That's why you can. Well,
I
you would be
still
you would
like
turn. I know. I get what you're
that's
saying, and I agree.
so
I
fucking just
I know. I know.
holy shit, that's so just fucking weird.
I know it is weird,
I also
but
think
it is it is
the
a
way you hold a
right.
lightsaber, like the way you hold a sword, like it to be able to slash someone sideways with the dull side of it would be awkward as fuck anyway. Like, because you either turn it
Well,
backwards, one, which you're holding the handle wrong now, or B, you have to slash in a way that causes it to, like, you could never get enough power to slash anyway.
well, that's the point with especially the Luke scene and the Kenobi scene, where it's like, all right, he did go backwards because it was awkward because Luke had no training and he wouldn't
What
face
scene are you
Vader
talking about with that?
with Vader.
That has to be in
It's
five,
in the
right?
fifth movie. Yeah, it's in the fifth movie right before he cuts off his hand. He like hits him in the shoulder and it kind of just like boom and bounces off of him.
See, I think that one's just bad anyways because of who, like, the who he's fighting. Like,
I'm just saying there is these examples that these guys came up with where it's like, all right, Luke did go backwards after he did try to slash at him with what would have been the sharp side, and then went back and it didn't do as much damage. It still does some damage, but it didn't do a lot. And then the Kenobi scene is perfect where it literally just goes like this, back and forth. It would be sharp dull. I see
well,
what you're saying.
I
I
feel like that
agree.
defeats
But
the purpose of the master swordsman because I mean that's it right there. Like,
I know, but when Kenobi did it, it was like a fast-paced thing where he didn't really have the luxury for that. I mean,
you're gonna have to
he
send
hits
me
it and
a clip of
yeah.
the
I mean,
opening.
well, I'll show it to you. But
I
all right,
mean,
let's keep
shit,
going.
just send it right now. We're talking
I
about this
mean,
now. No, I
but
know where we're
no,
at.
we were talking about Silva. I did really appreciate how it looked like a pirate sword the way he used it.
Yeah,
I
yeah, he
really
does
did
very
like
well.
that. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah. So then, I thought was what was something that was crazy too. He immediately like is like he like threatens him with like what did he say exactly? Saying you're gonna carve up someone with a lightsaber was so fucking funny to me. So I'm gonna carve up your parents if you don't do what I say.
Yeah.
Um, and dude, they go to land and they land on this platform that clearly hasn't been opened in forever.
Yeah.
Um, and dude, like it, like we start going down into the planet, and I'm like, oh, this is starting to make sense on how they're hiding this shit,
Yeah,
dude. And they keep
because like
going and keep
I mean,
going and keep going, and then, I mean, if you have something to say before we get into the, you know,
yeah, I mean, it just goes back to what we were saying. Like the planet on the surface level is nothing. It's just a planet.
yeah,
It's like, all right, people live here. Um, Everything's happening underneath ground, which, yeah, I mean, that answers that question that we talked about in like episode one.
yeah. And then, dude, we get this like cool ass scene with like the mechanical of like this vault door opening. And
Hmm.
dude, and like they open it and this pad comes out, and I was just like, "That was a big door." And then just like they just pan, and like, I'm not gonna lie, like how much was in that vault? I was like, "Holy shit!" And then
And there was 1,139 of
and
them.
he was like, "How many of these do you have again?" And the fucking robot goes 1,000. I was like, "Oh hell no!" Oh, there was fucking 8 of these planets, or however many we get, 7, 8, 9, 10. Holy fuck, dude!
Yeah.
And this goes back
Well,
to like, well, I know we talked. I don't know if we talked about it on here or if we talked about it elsewhere, but like the we did the worth of a credit and why it's important.
yeah.
I mean, I think if you have anything of that nature that is that many of them, it's worth a lot. Like it could have
Yeah.
been that much metal scrap, and it would have been a shit ton.
Yeah. Like literally for like a size example, like it'd be like a warehouse per vault.
Dude, it looked like every, like, you ever see the videos of like when they have like a juice or a drink or like a canisters, and like there's that famous video where that one guy accidentally knocks one over and it knocks the entire warehouse down of like all of the shelving units. Like
Yeah.
that's what it just looked like. Boom, 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 boom. It looked like it never ended, and they were
Yeah.
still minting them. I was so surprised that they were still minting them.
Hmm.
But yeah, and then
Yeah.
like,
This so he Silva goes over and he like touches one of the credits to see if it was real, and then it started just like raining credits, and it was
dude, like
like
he hit the slot machine.
it was a very like I thought that was a really good like little detail to be like, oh, he's obsessive over this. He literally
I
is a
mean, it's
pirate.
it's the you've worked all your life for that score,
Yeah.
and it seems, and at that point, like I have to give this credit one to the actor because I, like he said the seventh episode was a lot about him. He was fantastic in these last 2 episodes,
Yeah.
and um, dude, the balls to just keep, like, they were like, oh, you're the I think the emissary is what they kept calling him,
Yeah.
just to bullshit your way down into the vault. Like,
Yeah.
he got all the way down there, and they're like, yeah, we'll start load, and started loading the shit. I'm like, they're not gonna even question. Like, who the fuck? Let me see some credentials, dude.
Right.
Stick
Well,
here.
he said he was
You have.
also a
Yeah,
he said he was also a Jedi and then ignited the lightsaber. That's pretty much how the episode ended.
it was, and I was like, oh, you bastards.
Yeah. I was kind of like, damn.
I'm glad I didn't. I waited a week for that one because I would have been upset if that's how that ended.
Yeah.
Um, and this is like the first thing I wrote. As shitty as Jod's been as a person, he's just fucking smart. He's just getting out of
It's a good
everything.
pirate. Good pirate.
Yeah, and like
So,
we,
yeah, that's how episode 7 ends.
yeah. So then we start, and like it starts where it left, and he's like talking to them, and they're like, he's making demands that I'm like, I don't understand why they're like accepting these demands. Like, you have to have a surveillance of these people. Like, they're in big trouble. We're gonna figure out how to punish them, basically. And like, even Wim's dad was just like, is that necessary? And he's like, yes, it is. Didn't blink, didn't anything. It's like, yep, this is so necessary. And I was just like, holy shit, dude. And you want to talk?
Uh,
Go ahead.
I thought it was funny that Fern went to say something, and he's like, you know what? They're gonna stay with me. And I was like, damn.
Yeah, because
I.
he knew she was gonna outsmart a robot somehow.
Mhm. I mean, if anybody's gonna do it, it's gonna be Fern. or KB, which KB definitely had a huge role later.
Yeah.
They all had kind of big roles, to be honest.
Hmm.
They all did what they needed to do. All right, we'll get to that. All right.
Sorry, I'm looking at. Okay. But yeah, so we go to
Basically,
Wim's
we
house.
we, we cut to Wim's house.
That
Wim's having
food
dinner.
looked disgusting.
All food, dude. 99% of the food looks gross in Star Wars. What are
Like
we
just
talking about?
like Jesus, can we get
I
something?
think it
Like
was funny. He was like, "I bet you missed a home cooked meal," and we're looking at this bitch like, "Hell no, we're not."
first off, the way it was being this like weird oven fucking microwave thing was weird to begin with. Dude,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, and then it was weird. The fucking robots just sitting there watching them eat dinner, and I'm like, that's
Yeah.
disturbing. Again, it's just back to the weirdness of this planet. Like,
Dude, and like Wim's dad immediately being like, "Yeah, we have to reschedule your test." Like, bro, and like he just starts yelling at Wim instantly, and Wim's just like, "You just don't understand that there's more to the world than this bullshit."
yeah,
And like I'm like, "Yeah, dude, there is." Like this is my thoughts every day I'm at my job. No, like I could not be here right now.
yeah.
But yeah, like so then that kind of happens, and we cut back to Jod and them going up to the supervisor tower. And dude, they get in there, and I see these wires and the panels, the dust of the fucking chair, and like this fucking thing turns, and I'm like, the fucking supervisor's a goddamn droid. Are we?
Yeah.
First off, a droid like no other droid that we've seen, by the way.
That
Mad,
droid was like, it was like the whole building.
mad intelligent, very aware. Excuse me. Yeah, just like the weirdest. I've never like I was so like what the fuck, and
I
like
mean, I think it makes sense with how everybody acts on this planet, how everything's ran on this planet. Like, of course, it is a droid. Why wouldn't it be?
yeah, like it makes so much sense. But I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, I mean, it would have been nice to see a person or a being or whatever.
I
It'd have been cool.
honestly like for me, I thought it was just gonna be Tack. I thought he just took over the planet as a
That
supervisor,
would have been
and
crazy
he
twist.
just understood that how important it was, and that if he stayed here, he would get endless of whatever he wanted. But like that also just didn't make sense. Like it just didn't seem right. But like I was like, oh my god, it's a fucking droid. You gotta be kidding me.
So we talked before about how this doesn't bring anybody in from other projects or anything and be like, all right, these are these characters. We're tying it in together, which I think they are supposed to be tying this in with the Mandoverse time period. There
I
is a
did
rumor
see
that,
a little bit about it.
yeah, there is a rumor that this is going to tie in at some point with the Mandoverse stuff. But if they were going to have an opportunity to bring somebody into the show, it would have been the supervisor. There wasn't a single other point, unless like the
Yeah, it could have been
legend,
Jar Jar Binks.
unless the legend pirate was like Hondo. That'd have been the only other time you could have brought somebody in, which they didn't. The supervisor was the only other place to do that,
Yeah.
and they didn't, which I think makes more sense because I think it would have been cool to have Hondo as like the legendary pirate. I personally think that.
I feel like it like we knew from the get go after they like were talking about it that it couldn't be Hondo.
Hmm.
He wasn't old enough.
Yeah.
And honestly,
No.
wasn't the greatest pirate.
Yeah. And I agree, but if it was him, I wouldn't have been mad. And then like the supervisor role, like I mean, that would have been the next opportunity, but at the same time, like I think with how everybody acts on this planet, how the planet's ran, all these robots are in charge. Like it made sense for it to be a robot. What? Like
Yeah, like
it completely
as
made
much as
sense.
I was like, this is bullshit, it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, and he's smart enough, like you mentioned earlier. He was like, all right, so you're either an emissary or you're a Jedi, because the last message we received was that the Jedi are traitors, which I thought was weird too, because like
Hmm.
that would be the last thing that the Republic sent out before it
Yeah.
became the Empire, and like that's so
Hmm.
wild to me because like I feel like Palpatine would have known about the mints. Did he just create new mints for Imperial credits? Like,
I think so. It just makes sense because it's not the same thing.
but you got to think like, I mean, yeah, I guess, but like, I guess the credits wouldn't mean anything. But like, just to let him
Again,
keep
this
going.
show is just centered around pirates, and we talked about in the last episode, like, are these credits even worth anything? Well, in the amount that there is of them, absolutely they're worth something. But it's something where it goes back to this means more to pirates than it does to like just normal people in the galaxy at the time. You know, this is a
Well, I
treasure.
don't necessarily think that. I just think the
I
the
do think
the
that, and
rest
I
of the
think
world is okay. Like, rest of the world, the rest of like the galaxy is either on a different currency because of the outer rim. They don't get paid in money; they get paid in food or whatever. Or
right.
they're like politics is destroyed. Like they're trying to rebuild politics. Like so, I don't really know. Like I think the reason that they're worth to the pirates is because the rest of the outer rim still sees like parts of the outer rim see it as good currency, especially because the empire is gone. But like I forget who I had the conversation with, but we were talking kind of like at the beginning of episode 1 where Watto refuses to take Republic credits. And it's like, okay, at that point he was not okay with taking them. But like now, fucking 30 years later, 20 years later, pirates are okay. It just makes me really wonder what a credit means in the galaxy. Because it obviously means different to different people. So maybe it's
I just
because Watto never goes to a place that accepts Republic credits, but the pirates do, and then the other people do as well. But like you said though, like I feel like a lot of people in Star Wars aren't like money hungry; they're power
yeah,
hungry, which it is
or
the
just hungry,
same but
hungry.
different. But like pirates are money hungry because they think
Yeah,
money buys protection and gives you the paradise you're looking for. That's the thing
right.
about pirates that's weird is pirates want to hit the biggest loot possible to get to paradise, but they never actually want paradise because then they want to hit the next score. It's kind of
Hmm.
like gambling.
I mean, to me, I just think about it this way: is like, all right, it's just treasure to them. The planet was already a hell of a find as it is, even if it had no treasure on it. You know what I mean? Like nobody's been to this planet. So it's like, okay, like that's already a treasure in itself. It's like a lost city of Atlantis, like we've talked about. And then like it's just treasure to the pirates in my mind. It's just like the pirates would want something like this. It's a huge score and a 1,139 vaults of 10,000 square feet or more. I don't even know.
Dude, they're fucking
But
huge.
like it's literally
Dude,
like
10,000?
that's
No,
just
dude, like 100,000 square feet.
well, right. It's just like, that's all I think of it. Like it's just treasure. It's well it's also like uh what was his name? Dash Render? Was that the old pirate's name?
Tack.
Tack.
You,
I keep thinking of yeah.
yeah.
I know. Yeah, I got it. Okay. So,
Dash Rendar and Tack Renard. Renard.
right.
Renard or Renard? I don't know. One of the two.
Anyways, this was like he's a legendary pirate and this was his mission to find this planet and they found it. So that in itself is just like that's a feat above the greatest ever. So, I don't know, that's just how I look at it.
Yeah. I don't know. Like it's weird, but yeah, we need to keep going. So, fucking Silvo being Silvo decided to probably like as soon as he did it, I was like, "Oh, dude, that was such a good idea." Just absolutely just destroying the supervisor and like taking down the system. Like it was like yeah. and just immediately like, all right, I know how to like let my motherfucking ship through because we're about to just rob and like we'll be on our way. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, and so like we can see after he kills Supervisor that they like the building or the planet, so you can slowly see it lose power. Why is Neil always taking a bath? We didn't need another bath scene with Neil. Like I was like,
I honestly forgot about it until you just brought it up
I
again.
was
But
like,
I was
what the
thinking,
fuck?
I was thinking the same exact thing. I was like, I honestly looked at his hair to see if he had his perfect comb over again, which he did not. But we didn't need another scene with this fucking kid in a bathtub. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? Which, by the way, what the fuck is this bathtub? It is the biggest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. And then why can you just see right through the roof?
Do you want a good skylight when you're butt naked taking a bubble bath?
Like, come on, like what the hell was that?
Yeah.
But yeah, so the pirate ship gets down there, they start just attacking, like gathering everybody up, being like, hey, this is what's gonna happen. Um, and then Whim out of anybody is like, fuck this. We're gonna go get shit done, which I thought was crazy from Whim.
Yeah, like
But since everything was down, they had to get on speeder bikes, which his dad ride the speeder bike with them. Jesus Christ. I was just like, dude, I wish the dad wasn't there. But
this is one of those only parts like not like I know we made jokes before about like them not dying, but like this goes back to one of those like they should have died.
yeah, somebody should have died. Granted, Brutus died, but like he's a bad guy. Who
Yeah, and this other
cares?
thing is like we had said it earlier, SM didn't die. SM just walking around holding his head. That makes no sense, by the way.
Well, KB was with him. KB probably did something.
Yeah, but what would she have done that the head not being
Listen,
attached still works?
listen. If anybody was gonna do it, it was going to be KB.
I mean, yeah, I agree, but it's fucking
I
Wim.
don't even care. I don't care about the explanation for it. It was KB. I'm cool with
Oh my
it.
god! And when okay, so the ship comes down and they start shooting and like blowing shit up. Fucking Neil's little brother going pow pow like as the shit was happening. I just started dying laughing.
It's like, ooh,
Um,
it's like a video game.
it's like pow pow. I was like, Jesus. But yeah, so yeah, and then like they're running through that building, and they shoot Neil down. I thought Neil was dead for a second. I was like, oh, we killed one of them, and he just like gets up, and I was like, fuck. If I would have killed Neil, it would have been I would have been pissed, but like, yeah. And then like right when that happens, they like they get to the ship and they figure out that it's locked again, which I'm like that's such a smart thing to do is to lock the ships down when you're loading them to where someone can't steal them.
Right.
Um, but so that happens, and then this is what I was talking about earlier. His dad turns and goes, "I'm a level 7 systems coordinator. I can do it." And I'm like, that means absolutely nothing to us. How many levels are there, and what does that mean? Like he turned and went, "Oh, we gotta return power." He's like, "I can help," and he was like, "You know, you're talking to a level 7 systems coordinator," and I'm like, "What the fuck?" Yeah, sorry, but yeah, um, yeah, and then so I jumped a little bit on notes. That was something I was so interested in these last 2 episodes that my notes I had to like go back like a couple times to be like, oh shit, I should have wrote that down because I was like genuinely interested in like going throughout the show. It's been like fun to watch, which is like a weird feeling after yeah the last show. Um, yeah, so they go up and they're in this they go up to the supervisor tower, And I was a little confused because I only saw Wim, and I was like, where the fuck did his dad go? And like the whole point is that they're like creating a distraction.
Well, actually, hold on. For a hot second, I thought like I accidentally hit like the arrow to go plus 10 seconds forward because Wim just appeared into the tower and I was super confused. I was like, did I blink? Like, did I blink and it just
Well, he
happened?
goes
Because
up the
like you said,
elevator.
right, where you're like, where's his dad and stuff like that. And in my head, I'm like, what the hell's going on here? Like, did I hit the button? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I was confused for a second. I was like, what? And then his dad crawls around the corner, and I'm like, yeah, nobody saw
Like
that.
that dude's like 6'4". Like he's a monster. Like he's not
I just,
sneaking anywhere, dude.
that just goes back to this being like a heavily forward kid show. Like watching that was hilarious. I was like, yeah, no way, nobody saw that.
And like
But
he reverts power and like Jod's like hunting him down. Like did this like yeah. You can go ahead if you had something.
no, you're good.
Um I wrote what is my next like I don't understand what my next. Oh, okay,
I
so
guess one thing,
go ahead.
I guess one thing I wanted to point out is we got to see a few more force abilities from Jod. We got to see a force push, which was different. We eventually get to see another one.
I thought the when he held the lightsaber up with it, that was a pretty
hmm
cool like example. And then this is what one of my notes was is that so we found out that he was found by the Jedi, which is
hmm
surprising. And I thought I knew what he meant when he said it, but I put two just to where because I'm not 100% sure. But he said
Yeah.
like right after I started my training, they hunted my trainer, and so I'm confused because I think it's one of two things. Either like I want to say it's Order 66 so bad, but it's not confirmed that it
No.
is. And the way he was talking, it made it sound like I don't know what to think because the way they made it sound, I'm like, oh okay, it's Order 66, but like it was weird the way it sounded. Like you know what I mean? Like
I thought
something
Inquisitors.
killed his master. That's another good thing too. I didn't even think about that. I was thinking about
I
like bounty hunters in general,
I thought Inquisitors. That's what I
but
thought.
I mean, dude, I feel like he's old enough. It could be Order, which I mean, Order
He
66
is old
was
enough.
like technically like Inquisitors going after people is Order 66. Like that is the order to kill them, but like it's not the
Right.
Order 66.
Right. I don't know. I thought Inquisitor, but now that you're saying it, I don't know.
I
I
think he's
feel
old.
like
I think he's old enough, but
actually, well, he would have been really young when this would have happened. It definitely has bothered him a lot more. If he was an adult and he was already kind of piratey, that wouldn't really it wouldn't bother him as much as it seems to. Um, maybe it was Order 66.
I can't remember exactly what he said. He was like, I was hiding and a Jedi found me, right?
Yeah, but that was like beforehand, and then obviously they hunted her down afterwards, which I feel like would have been some kind of time in between.
Yeah, but I wonder, like, too, if he meant that he was hiding. Like, maybe he was given up by his parents because they knew he was force sensitive. And, like, what he thinks is the Jedi, like, took me is my parents gave me to them. But then that would also make me really think that he was training and then Order 66 happened. But, like, it's hard because, like, he
I
said
mean,
hunted. Like, I don't know.
to me, it didn't really seem like he went anywhere. He was trained wherever they were originally.
I mean, yeah, but if a Jedi found him on the Outer Rim, like, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, but I feel like if it was the Outer Rim, it wouldn't have been Order 66. It would have been an Inquisitor that would have had to have gone and found this person.
I mean, yeah.
All we know is she. We don't know anything else.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Unless she is
But
Ahsoka.
that'd be crazy.
I mean,
She
that's
could be
kind
a.
of what she was doing after Order 66 was looking for younglings. Or that is
Maybe
that
that.
how they're going to
Well,
merge
we're
it?
talking. Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Maybe that's how they do bring it together because Ahsoka would be. Is she the only she in this time period? If it were after
Well,
post Order
this is
66.
another thing. We don't know how canonically how Ventress dies.
Uh, yeah, I mean we have the book that we covered, which is supposedly a canon book, but then you have the Bad Batch, and that doesn't make
It,
sense.
it
So
breaks it. So, and I'm gonna go with the Bad Batch being canon over the book. So,
sadly, yeah, I am going to as well. So
so yeah, I mean that. I mean
it's
Ventress.
Omega. Ventress would have been. I don't know, dude. Because like he would have had to have been really young. Like it would have been the time of the Bad Batch when he probably would have had his training.
Yeah, dude.
I feel like it would have had to have been then.
Which that just means it also could be Order 66. I
Yeah.
don't know. Like,
All right, we're getting really off topic. We don't have answers for this, so
but yeah, so I liked the scene where he brought back the cold hard credits. I made fun of it early in the show because I just thought it was funny. God, dude, you went all zoom on us now. Um, but yeah, like I thought it was nice that they brought that scene back. And then this is where I was going with KB. KB's like flying the ship after they get it loose, and she's like being chased, and she gets shot down. And I thought I don't know how to feel about it when Fern screams. Like I
yeah.
feel like it was a good show of emotion, but then you can kind of see it on her face. Like was that good? Hey guys, was that a good scream? like I don't
I
know.
don't know.
I thought it was pretty good.
I don't think KB was gonna die. Like when it happened, I was like, she's not dead. They already
I thought she
almost
would have fucked something up in her head.
they already almost killed her off a few episodes ago. Ain't no fucking way they were gonna do it again. You know what I mean? There's no way.
Yeah, and then like she gets up and gets the message out, but obviously gets shot down, like I just said, and
Hmm.
um, they go for this struggle, and we see um, the lightsaber get knocked out of Jod's hand, and um, Wim and Fern holding the lightsaber back from Jod, which is the other Force ability I'm assuming you meant.
A force pull at that point.
Um, and then her mom ending up slamming it down to destroy the barrier. Um, yeah, and then like we see these X-wings come in, and have we seen those ships before? The laser ships?
We have. They were in was it Rebels? Or was it
I don't think we've
Clone
ever
Wars?
seen them in live action.
In live action, no.
Yeah, they started shooting. I was like, oh shit.
That was Rebels, right?
I don't remember.
It was either Rebels or Clone Wars for sure. I'm pretty sure it was Rebels. And I saw them and I just thought it immediately. I was like, holy shit, they actually like brought something, another thing where it's like they brought it back. And it's like they brought something in to the show where it was like they didn't bring anything specific. Like, here's a storyline, here's this, here's that, here's this person. They didn't do that. They just keep bringing stuff in like, oh, here's a battle droid. Here's a um that ship. What else happened? I can't even remember. Drawing a blank right now. There was other stuff that they brought in to where it was like it was nice. It was like, all right, that we're still in the universe and these things still exist, but we're not tying it into anything. And I like that about this show.
Yeah,
It didn't
yeah, I do too.
directly bring anything in to possibly ruin anything.
Yeah, they were all things that are good callbacks, but not
Hmm.
wrong. Like
Right,
never did I question like why or how would this have been here. Like they all made
right.
sense.
Yeah, I agree.
Not like the last show. Anyway, I will say one thing. Kind of dumb. Why'd they blow that ship up on top of the city? Terrible idea. Just destroyed some of the city there. I was like, you guys could
Yeah,
have like got him out of there, got them out of there real quick. But
Yeah, like somebody doesn't have a house now.
yeah, and then so like they leave the tower and they're going down to find KB, and she like spills out with tons of
Well, hold on,
credits.
hold on. Before we get there, the elevator door closes, and Wim is like, Jod, and he kind of just stands there and like lets them leave, and almost like I thought the building was gonna get shot down. I thought he was going to die.
Yeah, it's
I feel
weird.
like it would.
Wim kind of like was like, John, what are you gonna do? Like, let's do this, or come on, come with us.
Yeah,
But he didn't. It was weird, and I like, I don't know, but I mean, we'll get back to the second because I have like
right.
afterthought
Yeah,
questions, but
yeah.
yeah, and then so like I was saying, KB is like thought to be dead on top of a pile
There
of
was
credits.
so much credits.
I know.
There was so much money on that
And
ship.
like
It was
so
insane.
she's alive and whatever, and they start grabbing her and getting out of there, and they're like, oh, we need to leave, and like the audacity of fucking Wim's dad to be like, whole adventure is gonna be crushed, if you guys don't get out of here. I was like, they keep saying like just funny shit like the whole adventure is gonna be crushed if you guys don't get out of here now. Like, the fuck kind of joke is that?
Yeah,
But so yeah, I mean that's kind of how we end. There isn't really another.
it's open ended.
And so
It
like
really is open ended.
I have two more things. One, surprised they didn't throw a random cameo in. Uh, I'm glad
I
they didn't,
yeah,
but like random cameo with the X-wings, the ship that came in. That's like the rebellion ship. Like almost making me like, oh, there's a possibility Leia is gonna be on that ship. Like, you know what I mean? Um,
yeah.
but I'm glad they didn't, and yeah, I don't think this ended in a bad way, but like there are things that I'm still curious about. Obviously, the what happens to Jod, what happens to the Mint. Um, do they stay on that planet or do they leave now? Because like they don't have the barrier and the part of it's destroyed.
They definitely ended it to where it's like, okay, we had a satisfying ending to the story. The kids got home. They basically won at that point. I guess the assumption could be is the New Republic knows about it now. The New Republic can take over and keep the planet safe and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, they left it open ended, and I think they did that because there's supposedly rumored that somehow this is going to tie into the Mandoverse, which I mean, it is in the time period of the Mandoverse, so it's like okay,
Yeah,
like so I mean, they have to have people alive because this is obviously like pre-Mandoverse movie, so if they're going to have people in there, people need to be alive for it. So I'm assuming Jod's going to make an appearance, which is why he's not dead.
I mean maybe I don't know what they're gonna do. I think
Because it's like
it's
if you go a few years down the line, these kids in real life are still kids. So it's like, okay, they're not going to age significantly to where it's like, okay, like we can have these kids and they're kind of like teenagers, maybe adults at this point. They won't be that much older when this movie's going to come out. So I feel like Jod has to be in this movie or maybe like somehow brought into it where it's like the actor is still going to look relatively the same. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I feel like that's why Jod didn't die. They didn't do anything with it. Is like Jod is going to make an appearance later. I think he will.
Yeah, I mean they definitely left it up for the possibility.
Yeah. Um, what else did you have in mind? Or is
I mean that was kind of it. Like I just think there's a lot of like, oh, this could happen or that could happen. Like,
yeah, I mean they definitely left it open. Like you have the New Republic. I think the idea is just the New Republic's going to take over. That makes sense to me. The New Republic was there. They know where it is, so it's like okay. Um, and then yeah, I think they just did it to where you had possibilities for cameos or people being a part of a story later.
yeah,
And I think Jod would be a bigger character for that. I think that would make a lot more sense. And maybe his master was. Ahsoka, and Ahsoka's involved.
Maybe.
Did he say that they killed his master? I know they
He
said
said they hunted
hunted.
her down. I'm assuming they killed her. Oh, that defeats that then, yeah.
If he did say killed, there's that. But at the same time, are we 100% sure? Because hunted tried. If he said tried to hunt her down, we do have the Tales of the Jedi where she kills the Inquisitor, and there was like a younger guy there, a younger boy. Matt, what if that was Jod?
I mean, maybe. I feel like that person is too old.
Eh, no, I don't think so. We don't know when that took place.
No, like too old to be what he's talking about. Like I feel like he's young. But and I also
That guy
don't feel
was
like
still,
I don't think the timeline works for as old as he is now from how close that was.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to be interesting. I think Jod's going to come back. I think it would be the easiest character to bring back and to make them have a possibly a significant role. And I mean, that is a good example where it's like, unless he did say killed, which I'm not 100% sure, I'd have to rewatch the episode to get that specifically. But if they didn't kill his master, it could easily be Ahsoka, and Tales of the Jedi would be like where that's from.
I mean, or it could just be more simple. Like he was in the Jedi Order and they died during
Maybe.
Order
It didn't
66.
really make it seem that way, but I mean, it could have been.
Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely left up for interpretation. It left up for conversation, like what we're having right now. Um, I think they did that on purpose because they are gonna somebody's gonna come back. I think it's gonna be Jod. So that's just where I'm at with it. I thought overall this show was the least Star Warsy that we've gotten, but at the same time, it was still a really good show. Um, I wouldn't say it was flawless, but it was fun and entertaining. It was definitely geared more towards kids, and it just made like adults reminisce on a bunch of different movies and shows that have been out for years. And I mean, I had a good smile here and there where I was like, "Oh, this is like the Goonies. Oh, this is like Indiana Jones. This is like Velocity of Atlantis." It just gave me like a little smile,
I mean,
and it was nice.
I think part of it too is it's just been better than what we've had. So
Yeah,
it's been like really nice and like it's definitely something that like kept me entertained and like I think would keep a general person entertained. Like you don't
yeah,
have to be a Star Wars fan to like this, and
yeah. It's just
that's good for how Star Wars is going right now.
yeah, it's fun, funny, entertaining, and overall a good story.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it was
Is
pretty good. I
that
mean,
it,
we've
or
talked
you got
before
anything
about
else?
like I mean, we talked before about numbers. I mean, I think it's a solid 8.
Yeah, I think exactly where we kind of started it is how it kind of was. Like it was about an
Yeah,
8. Like it looked fantastic. It had a good story, and I thought the acting was better than what I expected. Honestly,
it was
I
a
kind
lot
of
better than
wanted more
expected.
from Jod, and we got it, or Jude Law. So yeah, like
Yeah,
I liked it.
yeah. I mean, I was satisfied. It was good. It was fun. It was different. It was new. I liked it. So I don't really have anything else. I think it was pretty good.
Well,
Interested to see where it goes.
we'll see you guys next week. It's been Mind Trick Media.